I'm joking, I don't know.
Kind of wore my heels today. Right? It's over here, like,
I was taking so there's a liquor store in the basement of the building that my school was in. Oh, and what you call it?
The Universal, can you hear me? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gail Gahagan Pratt, and I am the Acting Deputy Commissioner for our Child Welfare and Community Services Division. And I want to welcome you all to our Child Welfare Workforce Honor and Recognition. So appreciate you all taking the time to be here, to really be a part of what I think is such an integral part of just really recognizing the work that we do day in and day out. And the folks that are here, standing here to keep you from rushing the stage. No, these are persons who are currently going through our training. So these are folks that are going to be hitting the streets in their respective counties and regions, and just want to say thank you and wish you well in this journey.
Thank you.
So whether you are CPS, prevention, family assessment, or what we call FAR, a foster care worker, whether you are a home finder, a home visiting coach, permanency specialist, adoption specialist, or any other aspect of the work that we do in child welfare, you are so valued and so appreciated each and every day. You help protect vulnerable children and connect families with concrete supports and services that they need to improve their lives and to achieve their goals. You play a pivotal role at a difficult time in families' lives. Your outstanding work can be a catalyst for the health and well-being of children and families in our communities. Today, we elevate our gratitude for the child welfare workforce by coming together and offering our appreciation from many different perspectives. We have several speakers here today who I'm sure will inspire and encourage us to continue to do the work we do each day. To kick off this special event, I'd like to introduce and invite to the stand the fearless leader of our agency, of the Office for Children and Family Services, and that's Acting Commissioner Suzanne Miles Gustav, who embodies the work that we do. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to wait a second, you're gonna give me some things. This work is truly something that Commissioner values, that she inspires day in and day out in the way that she shows us to continue to look at the programs and services that we support, and how does that impact the lives of children and families, and are we doing harm or are we doing good? And so I appreciate what she challenges us to do each day and the integrity that she brings to her role there.
Taylor, Acting Deputy Commissioner. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Suzanne Moss-Gustav, Acting Commissioner at the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, which you now know. I'm so honored to be here with you as we celebrate child welfare workers in this Appreciation Week. We know this week is just this week, but you are, right, true heroes to us every single day. So thank you. To our speakers, I thank you for joining us. You will hear these wonderful stories about their bravery, their commitment, their passion. My hope is that you leave understanding truly the sacrifice of the workforce and how we should value them every single day. And to our trainers, thank you so much. Trainees, thank you so much. Entering the workforce as you are training here in this wonderful facility. So my hope is that you go out as inspired into the world, as inspired as some of our long-standing child welfare workers are that we're here to celebrate today. So thank you all for being here. So now we know, as mentioned, our workforce, they're truly the unsung heroes. We saw during COVID that they had to pivot, transform into a different type of workforce, right? Our workforce still went out and supported our families and our communities at times at a risk to themselves. But the work doesn't stop. It didn't stop during COVID. It just got a bit more challenging. And we saw them transition in a virtual space. Both site visits were virtual, our trainings were virtual, but they stood strong. So this is a committed workforce who does this work because they care about the families, they care about the community. So we are here to celebrate you all. So today you'll also hear from some long time in the field workers, professionals at 20 odd years. And even though through those long hours, that large caseload, our professionals have remained committed. And that's just one story, but we know it's endemic of all of our workforce. You guys are a tenacious, brave, and solid group of folks who do this really, really grueling work every single day. So for that, we thank you. And so if you're here, press, please stay. If you have not toured our Human Services Training Center, please do so. There'll be a tour after this event. This is a 97,000 square foot facility. It is only the second in the nation. And we bring our local district workers, our preventive agency workers here to do real intensive training with simulations, feedback loops. It is just top quality. And so we're very, very proud to bring you here today to celebrate our workforce. And so again, this day may be the official one, but we want to make sure that everyone understands the importance of this workforce and values them daily. We do have a proclamation, and I will not read this in detail, but I will tell you that we officially honor all of your work, and we will give every district a proclamation for you guys to bring back to your home counties, recognizing your unwavering commitment to the safety, health, and well-being of children and families and our communities. So it says a whole lot more than that, but that is to summarize. So I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for committing your careers and your lives to this work. I thank you all for being here celebrating with us. I will turn this back to our other fearless leader, Acting Deputy Commissioner Gail Geoghegan-Pratt. Thank you so much.
Commissioner, yes, you can have a seat. We will not make you stand through this whole thing. Awesome. So I just want to say that when I stand here and I talk about the appreciation for the work that each and every one of you do, it comes from a voice of experience. You know, a few years back, in my journey into the workforce, I started out in child welfare as a frontline worker. And I remember going through training, which looks a lot different these days, let me tell you. And I remember wondering, oh my God, what do I do? How do I do this? You know, the knock on the door, not knowing what's gonna happen when that door opens, you know, what is the reaction? And it is one of those roles and functions that was challenging, at times hard, but I will tell you what really remains with me are the rewarding moments when there was an opportunity to truly connect with a family and to feel as if the services, the linkages, the referrals, or just there and listening really made a difference and had an impact for that family. And so that's what inspires me today in this part of my career, being on the policy side, but thinking about what it was when I was on the front lines and remembering those experiences. So when I say that we truly recognize and appreciate the work you do, I know. So we know that child welfare can sometimes feel like a thankless job. We can get so caught up in the torrent of the work that we don't always have an opportunity to recognize the good work when it's happening. And there are so many challenges that we don't often take the time to be able to reflect on the good work that's being done and the impact that we truly are making in the lives of children and families. And too often, when others do see our work, or when the media shines a spotlight on child welfare, it's usually because of a heartbreaking event that has happened. And with that, oftentimes there's a great deal of judgment and criticism. And far too infrequently is there acknowledgement of the good work that happens. It's called Child Protective Services, emphasis on the services. And it's not only for us to bring that message to others, but for us to also remember in those challenging days that we truly are providing a service. And so during Child Welfare Worker Appreciation Week, I want to say personally, thank you, and that we see you. OCFS sees you, our county sees you, and those families that you are working with, they also see you. And hopefully, you need a mirror, but hopefully you see you too. We see you working extra hours during your shift to place a child with a relative instead of the home of a stranger, knowing that many children whose first placement is with a relative will never need another placement. We see you spending extra time to connect with that difficult teenager, I love teenagers by the way, who become amenable because you created trust and they feel safe to tell you what's really going on for them. We see you providing coaching to a parent who was all but counted out, but with your support came to have positive visits with their children, reach their service goal plans, and had their children's return to their care. We see the supervisors working countless hours, but still making time to meet with each person on their team to ensure they are heard and feel safe to process the very difficult work. We see the leaders in the districts seeking your staff's input into decision-making, creating a culture of transparency and trust, addressing secondary trauma, and striving to create a safe and healing workplace. And we see the frontline staff who go out on a daily basis and make that knock on that door. And you manage what it is that you receive when you open that door, always with the focus on how am I going to be able to help this family. We acknowledge that and we truly appreciate that. That is some of the hardest work that anyone can do. You take the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life in every interaction you have with children and families who are child welfare involved. You make a difference every single day. I hope you can take a moment to truly absorb our gratitude and acknowledgement, and that it helps you in some small way to keep going in this work because you are needed. Child welfare needs you. Children and families need you. And we can work together to create a child welfare system that doesn't drain, but fills you with satisfaction. You are the light that society needs, and we need you to keep shining. We thank you and we celebrate you, not just during Child Welfare Worker Week, but every day for what you do. And so, before I introduce the next speaker, I just want to share with you some words that was shared by a family that worked with this person. And so when I say that you truly can make a difference and impact families, the words I'm about to lift up really reflects that. This is a person that was in a situation where domestic violence was a concern. And they go on to say, before you even realize what domestic violence and child abuse are, you have been living and breathing it every moment of the day. It is your normal, and it is woven into the fabric of your life, so much so you can't see it. When you finally ask for help, you start a journey and awareness that is much more painful at times than living immersed in the abuse. Living immersed in abuse was private. It was suffering and silence. Asking for help from court and local services makes all of your suffering public, and everyone is allowed to see and judge every thread of the fabric of your life. If you want help, then this is just one more thing that you have to submit to. When CPS comes to your house, it is another person entering your space, another person who is that has the ability to take your children from you, a threat you may have been living under for years already from your abuser. When Mady Aldridge came to our house, she changed this outcome for us. Her patient empathy, her knowledge of domestic violence nuances, her ability to recognize power and control dynamics, her framework of cooperative aid instead of institutional dominance, her generally approachable and caring demeanor. These traits of Mady's gave us hope for a future instead of underscoring the torture we were living in. She took the time to ask me questions beyond, was there abuse in the house? She broke down the question, answer accurately, even though I myself did not realize that these events I confirmed were happening to me and my daughter constituted abuse. Mady went above and beyond, reporting her findings thoroughly and eloquently, and following through to be present for testimony on the report at our hearings, of which there have been countless. Mady could only have been this protagonist of our story because of her heartfelt dedication to her job, profession, with a fervent passion for families. She must have dedicated herself to continuing education, becoming able to recognize signs of abuse that others cannot perceive. She must have found a way to stay mentally well, even though I know this type of work follows you home and weighs on your emotions. Mady was able to be a protagonist of our story because she never stopped caring about us as people, anticipating our feelings. And as much as I asked, why did these tragedies happen to us? I ask, how were we so lucky to have Mady assigned to our case? She was truly instrumental in our survival. Thank you 1,000 times, Mady, for your service. I know that service will live on in the training that you continue to provide and the example that you continue to give to others around you. Please welcome Mady to the stage.
So I cried when I read that, and I cried the second time I read that, and I'm sitting over there going, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. You know, it's a privilege. This job is a privilege. And I, you that are here in training, I said, oh my goodness, it's been 30 years since I was here in training. It's a long time. Training was a lot different. We were in hotels then. We weren't in a really cool training center. I don't know how to follow that. I'm so full of so many emotions. I think, you know, I started this work to put myself out of business. And I'm hoping that each and every one of you start this work to put yourselves out of business. We've got capable families, we've got capable community services. We have folks out there that truly give everything and care everything for the children in our community and for our parents. And if we can just bring them around and shine a light and say, hey, there's something happening here. What can we do? How do we gather together? We can help communities help themselves. We can help families help themselves. Every single one of us has somebody in our family or somebody that we know, right, that's gone through really hard times. And what's different for us versus for the people that we're working with? And I say working with, not working on, not working to, working with, right? They just have, there's a choice, there's something that happened different in their story. There's a person that entered their story differently than maybe entered ours, right? Maybe I made the decision to go to college and somebody I'm working with made the decision they had to go work, right? And that's the only thing that's different. And their path to this path or my path to this path. I think it's so important that each of us remember that. And remember that we don't have work unless we're working with the folks. And if you're aiming for Child Protective, well, God bless you, right? If you're aiming for child, that has been my home for, oh goodness, at least the last 20 years. And we were on the start of the FAR team for the state. Very blessed to be part of that within Child Protective. Just keep in mind, it's a blessing anytime somebody opens the door. It's a blessing anytime somebody shares their story. All of that, I'm so humbled. Nobody has to open their door. Nobody has to let us in. And it is only because we can exude that we care and mean that we care, they can actually get there and do something and somehow be a catalyst for something in their lives that hopefully will take them to a better place. Right? None of us would be happy if we were knocking on our door. All right, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm embarrassed.
Thank you so much, Mady. And you know, you embody the words that were shared with us from this family member that you worked with. And I appreciate everything that you lifted up about how we should do this work. So thank you for that. So our next speaker is going to explain why this work is so important from the perspective as a person with lived experience, having previously been a recipient of prevention services. Please welcome Mariah Baer to the stage.
All right, here we go. Sorry, I'm nervous. My name's Mariah Baer. I'm honored to share my experience as a recipient of Child Welfare Services through Warren County Prevention Department. Prior to working with CPS, I was extremely codependent with men. I believed I was unable to succeed for my family as a single independent woman and mother. Over the last couple of years, with dedication to myself and my children, my caseworkers have taught me how to use my local community for the proper support networks. I never realized what it took and meant to be part of the community. Growing up, I believed everything was just handed to you. I was sadly mistaken and turned down the wrong path. My team has taught me how to utilize food pantries, churches, local transportation networks, different types of support groups for single mothers or mothers with children with special needs, and so much more. Sorry. I cannot voice with words how grateful I am to have had the massive amount of support that I've gotten. There have been ups and downs. However, so long as my team stuck by my side, I did my best and we worked through any issues that presented together as a team. I'd like to give a special shout out to Rebecca Gregory, Janet Pratt, and Sarah Montero, and the remainder of the Warren County crew. And a massive thank you to all other workers who do this job. You have an extraordinary opportunity to change so many lives for so many families. And I just want to thank you for all that you do. I'm sorry. As I stand before you, my children and I wouldn't be together without all of the work that you do and all of the absolute craziness that people like me put you through. From such as myself. Don't ever think that the work you're doing is unimportant. Thank you. In the absence of teams such as yourselves, families like mine wouldn't be reunited. For so many years, I felt lost and alone. I lost trust in humanity. My team helped me work through finding myself and my happiness again. I know I will be able to continue to work hard on myself because of the path that they have directed me on. So without further ado, after I already lost control of my emotions, thank you for everything that you do.
That is not easy, folks. That is vulnerability. Thank you for being willing to share a part of your story, which is just a part of your story. But thank you for sharing and just really underscoring the positive impact that we can have when we do the work the way it should be done. All right. I don't know how you're gonna follow that. So we're gonna introduce Jennifer Bowie, who was actually previously, an Albany County local district transplant. There are a lot of us running around OCFS, let me tell you, and Jennifer is one of them as well. And so she is actually one of the trainers, child welfare trainers with the Youth Research Institute. And she's going to talk with you about the process of training and preparing child welfare workers in their role.
I really don't know how I'm gonna follow that. So many powerful words already today. Good afternoon. My name is Jen Boo. I am a trainer here at the OCFS Training Center. I work with YRI. As you can tell, I have notes. That's the hallmark that you're looking at a trainer, right? So I primarily train our Child Welfare Foundation's program, which is a state-mandated training for child welfare workers, such as child protective investigators, foster care workers, adoption and home finders, prevention services workers, and all the other caseworkers and service providers who work in the field of child welfare. Prior to becoming a trainer, I found myself in the world of child welfare after, like many workers, taking a civil service exam in Albany County. When I got the call for that first interview, I was filled with excitement, anticipation, and nervousness. And I spent some time researching more about what is this going to mean for me, both personally and professionally, to work in child protective services. Like many of the new workers that we are seeing entering this field today, I felt a drive to help children and families, and I wanted to make a difference, to have an impact. I felt a call to this work that could not be quieted. I soon learned that, yes, this work can be difficult, and it is necessary work. It can also be wholesome, inspiring, and rewarding beyond measure. Those highlights can be tucked in the little moments when a parent thanks you for helping them activate the power within themselves to make a change for the betterment of their family. Or it can live loudly in the big moments when a child thrives in the security of a safe home. After several years serving as both a CPS investigator and a foster care case manager, I made the transition to becoming a training specialist here at the training center. And at first it was hard to leave the work that I was so passionate about, the families I felt drawn to serve. I found that this is my purpose now in child welfare, to honor those families, their stories, their growth. And by now teaching that next generation of child welfare workers like yourselves and letting that impact widen to reach the families all across New York State. So a little bit about our program that you all are well familiar with at this point. Our Child Welfare Foundations program begins with an in-depth 4-week training, including 5 different intensive skills demonstrations, what we like to call skills clinics. And participants will work with fictional families in curated simulation spaces, which I believe you all get to visit today, to demonstrate targeted skills in critical thinking, strengths-based family engagement, formal assessment protocols, child safety, risk, abuse and maltreatment, interview skills, and much more. They are evaluated and provided feedback throughout their training, and then many go on to further their development path for a 2.5-week rigorous undertaking in CPS response training, which I believe you all are currently in right now. This includes training, documentation, and additional simulations, which I heard about this morning, where we have professional actors in roles of family members simulating scenarios as close to our work in the field as we really can facilitate. As a trainer, teaching the foundational skills for child welfare workers across New York State, I am so inspired to share that this incoming cohort of new workers are bright, full of passion, dedication, and a true commitment to partnership and strengthening and empowering families that they serve. We are hopeful for the future of child welfare as we continue to see the skill, the passion, and the promise of you all, these new workers who are entering this field. So thank you all. We appreciate you. You are invaluable. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for you and the training team that really helped to lay the foundation for the work that each worker needs to do. It is just a foundation. There is so much more as you go through, and there is nothing that compares to the actual on-the-job in the but we know the foundation is an integral part to that. We certainly want to make sure that you feel that you have some parameters and framework for doing it. And so thank you to the YRI team. Okay, so our next speaker comes to us from the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute, where she is a co-principal investigator. She's going to speak about the influence child welfare workers have on families. Please welcome to the stage, Mary McCarthy.
Thank you all so much. It's really a great honor for me to be here and hear the stories, and thank you for the words from families, from practitioners, and from trainers. I also want to say what a joy it is to work with our new commissioner, acting commissioner, interim commissioner, hopefully full-time commissioner, really moving the vision forward. And as I was sitting there listening to people's stories, I realized, you know, I started as a child welfare worker 50 years ago in 1974. So, how did that much time go by? And so it's really a joy for me to think about how do we influence families? And this conversation has told us. I started mine not knowing what everyone else was going to be saying with, each one of you is part of the life story of every family that you interact with. And you've been hearing their stories here today. So I want to leave you with what I think is the question that has guided my career. What is my purpose? What is your purpose? Every day when you show up at a home, at a door, in your office, in the community, what purpose do you come with? When we take a moment in thinking about that purpose, to connect, to listen, to hear, to understand, to respond, to collaborate with, and support, that's our commitment to good practice. And this is the foundation for change. This is the way we can support families, the way we can help communities grow, and also support the child welfare system. And let me just say, this work, it's not just about families. When you show up with that purpose, push all the systems that serve our families, because there's no way child welfare by itself is going to do this work alone. We need the voluntary agencies, we need the not-for-profits, we need the police, we need the hospitals, we need all mental health systems, we need everyone that touches the lives of families in our communities to be partners with us. You come with purpose also pushes all the other systems to show up differently. We are all working to change the narrative about child welfare to one of family support, so we can together change tomorrow and really come to realize the equity and justice agenda that we're all working towards. For me, it is this purpose-focused work that engages families and retains staff and welcomes new workers in. All of you hopefully will arrive at organizations that want to encourage that kind of purpose-focused work for you as new workers. So please take a moment. I see each of you, and Gail, it was so touching when you said that. We see you. We see each of you every day. Every day when I show up in the office, because I work on a national level, I see workers all over the country. I see supervisors all over the country. It is not easier when we do the work well. That's a misnomer, right? It's harder to do the work well. And there are always risks in child welfare. But our job is to work alongside of our families and our colleagues, challenging the narrative so we can change tomorrow and be part of the story of a family, of a community, of an agency, of strength and healing, to hear more stories like we heard today about those ways that people come out richer and more full. than when they went in. So Jennifer Marisi, who's been a little bit of the orchestrator behind all this event today, actually said, well, I saw on the NICWE website that, why don't you write a poem for the workers? So Jennifer wrote a haiku poem, which she shared with you. And I am going to read it to you. This is in honor of all of you. Storms rage, the wind howls, steadfast, you are as essential as sunshine to children. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary. I'm gonna get to you, Jen. But I really appreciated your lifting up the purpose of the work you do. And I think it's so important because in this work, you're gonna be pulled in so many directions, and there are gonna be so many things going on, and sometimes it can get lost. And so taking a moment to center ourselves and what is the purpose of the work we do, I think that's a powerful reminder and brings us back to when those days are chaotic. So thank you for that word. Miss Marisi. That was awesome. Thank you for that. We let her go in child welfare. We might need to bring her back. She's certainly supporting PIO, but you know, as you can see, the passion is there for her as well in this work. So, because this is recognition of child welfare workforce, we want to do that. I do want to start by just acknowledging Paul Brady, who is here. So fun fact, when I became commissioner for Albany County, Paul Brady was one of the commissioners that did my welcome orientation. And I never forgot that. So Paul, you know, I've said it before, again, thank you for the support that you provided. Very scary in terms of taking on that role and function, and your continued support. And Paul is no longer a local district commissioner, but he is the executive director for the New York Public Welfare Association, also known as NYPWA. And so I want to thank him for being here and supporting. And I also see some folks from the Child Welfare Division that are also in the audience. So I just want to say thank you for being here and for your ongoing work, whether it's here at home office or it's in the regional offices or just throughout New York State. Thank you for the work that you do. We could not accomplish what we do without you, so thank you. And of course, all of child welfare. So for all of you in the audience, wherever your work is associated, you're in a local district, you're at OCFS, you're frontline, you're a supervisor, however it is that you are connected to child welfare, please stand up so we can acknowledge you. Again, thank you so much. While this may conclude this event, there is a tour that is going to be provided of this wonderful training facility. And so we welcome anyone not had an opportunity to tour the facility to please take part in such. Again, thank you everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Stay purposeful. See yourselves in the work that you do and see yourselves as families. That's so important. Thanks everyone.